So hello, Jo, and welcome to Inspiring Courage podcast. Thank you for being my guest today.
It's my pleasure.
You are one of my bestest buddies, and somebody who has really held my hand through thick and thin for the past few years. And you're my partner in crime in all things fun generally. And I am delighted that you've agreed to come and share your journey with us, because you have been a role model for me in how you have had a bigger vision, and you're a primary school teacher, or you started life as that, and now you have a different role at the moment. But your bigger vision is to actually get kids to fall in love with reading, and you are building your credibility online alongside your full-time job, which I raise my hat off to you. Actually, you're doing a grand job. Could you elaborate on that for us, please, and tell us what your bigger purpose is and what your journey is, where your journey is taking you?
Of course. So I'm a primary school teacher by trade. I also love children's books, and I really passionately believe that if you can set a child up to be a confident, competent reader, then you've set them up for the rest of their lives, because being able to read well is so important. And that's really shaped the beginning of my journey and where I hope that I'm heading to in the end. I started off a few years ago with a book blog. I have to confess, initially I set up my blog because I was hoping I might get sent a few free books to add to our school library, because there's no money in school budgets. So I set up the blog and thought, right, who's going to send me these books? So I headed on to Twitter, which I hadn't used really at all before, but I knew that on Twitter there were lots of like-minded book fans, publishers, authors, publicists, and I knew that I'd put myself out there a bit if I were going to make the contacts I needed to get the free books from my school library and help my pupils develop a love of reading. So I went on Twitter, networked away, and slowly but surely I befriended the publicists, who are the gatekeeper to the book world, got on their lists, and I'm really fortunate now that I get sent loads of the most amazing books, and all the children who get to enjoy them after me are really lucky, because my goodness, some of them are stunning.
Yes,
and
I see them. I'm jealous. I have a healthy dose of jealousy when I see all the books you're reading.
Yeah, no, I'm really lucky, and so are the children who get them afterwards.
Yes, sure.
And so from that point, I began to think that actually my passion in life is for children's books, and really moving forwards, that's where I wanted my professional life to go. So that's the kind of parallel path I'm on at the moment, as well as teaching. So in order to develop touting books to children, if you like, as my profession, I had to start putting myself out there and making more contacts and doing more networking. Now, networking and making contacts and talking to people I don't know are not my favorite things to do.
No.
So it was a real leap of faith for me to actually be brave enough to go to places where I didn't know people, to talk to people, to build up those networks. But I'm glad that I did. It was definitely worth it. I had to just put myself out there and be a bit braver. And through doing that, I have had some really wonderful opportunities. I've developed a bit of a reputation as being an advocate for funny books, not just for their humour, but for the really important and tricky issues they can cover, as well as making you laugh. And through that, I was invited to judge the lollies. That's short for the Laugh Out Loud Funny Book Awards, which are run by Scholastic and the mighty Michael Rosen. And I was honoured to be a judge on that panel, and I've been involved since with shortlisting titles, and also for the Blue Peter Book Awards, which is brilliant because it's such a prestigious award in the children's books world, especially when children's books are not valued as highly as adult titles. So that was fantastic. I also met with Nikki Gamble, who is very well respected in the world of children's literature, and she runs her own company, Just Imagine. And she knew that I liked funny books. And she was setting up a new scheme with her company. A branch of it was to be based on a reading program around funny books. So she approached me to see if I would do some consultancy work with her on developing the book list for that program, on putting together the resources to go with it. And that's been a real joy, and has really cemented for me that that is one of the paths I see my future self going down when the time is right. So that was a real pleasure. And if I hadn't put myself out there and gone to these events, I wouldn't
And
have
that's
met
what I
her.
love. Yeah, that's what I love about it, because we discussed it many times and you weren't comfortable networking, but you just got outside your comfort zone, didn't you? And you did it by doing so. I remember your avatar to begin with when you went on social media, for example, and then it took you a while to be comfortable to put your own picture there. So this is kind of, you know, the kind of gut reaction you had to being visible, I guess, same as me. So we've kind of come on parallel paths as well, because I didn't like to be on social media, and, you know, I've just started putting myself out there. And it's just the limiting beliefs that we have, those kind of limits that we put on ourselves, say we can't do this for this reason, for that reason, and then when we do it, we see the benefits. So I guess the message here is to get outside your comfort zone and do the things that you are afraid of, because they're not as bad as you think. And, you know, for you and for me both, we've had that kind of bigger vision. We know what we're leading towards, therefore it's important to actually start taking steps towards that. And hopefully for us, the next venture would be a joint venture, because we've talked about this and we're both passionate about kind of instilling certain values in kids, you from a reading perspective and me from a coaching perspective. So, you know, it's again by being aligned with our values professionally as well as personally, that hopefully we'll get to work together. So that's just a little teaser for the viewers, you know, watch the space. So tell us about, you were talking about reading something on Twitter recently regarding how we are experiencing certain kind of negative emotions at the moment, and children in particular. Will you talk to me about that, please?
Yes, of course. So I have children of my own at home as well as teaching children, and I think that I've noticed several different changes in their behaviours at various points over lockdown. And I was reading something on Twitter today that I thought was really interesting, which was talking about the fact that actually during lockdown, children and adults have experienced a really profound loss, the loss of liberty, the loss of their friends, their loss of their social lives, the loss of their ability to go out somewhere if they want to. And people were saying, and I agree with them, that actually when children have been angrier than normal, acting out, displaying behaviours that perhaps they wouldn't normally, that's a really natural reaction to loss, and it's just part of that cycle, which I thought was very interesting.
It's interesting. And us as adults, I think, are going through it as well, especially for me, post-lockdown. I feel more of the negative kind of, you know, states that anybody could kind of, you know, experience, I guess. But it is, again, for us to allow those feelings to come and go, but understand what they are. So I work with people on combating their anxiety, and the loss of control is one of the biggest factors in kind of feeling anxious. So again, it's a loss of control. We don't have control over what we had or what we knew as normal. So it's about understanding those, and with children, being present with them and kind of, you know, connecting with them. So many nuggets of wisdom. Thank you so much, Jo, for being my guest today. I'd love you to come back again and talk about your books, because it's something that I'm really passionate about. And I want to, same as you, instill that love of reading in children. So I'd love for you to come back if you don't mind.
I'd be more than happy to, definitely.
Perfect. Thank you. And I shall see you soon.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Cheers then. Bye-bye.